I think this is a more interesting, difficult episode than you think. Let's fire away.
Let's do it.
I agree. Okay, ready? Welcome, guys. Episode number 7 of the Vision Cast. This is a very special episode. We've been putting it off for a little bit, but I've been wanting to get these guys in front of you to tell you why they started this brand, VMI Sports, where they came from, their stories, their hurdles, ups and downs, sideways. We have the president of VMI Sports, Tom Reilly, the CEO of VMI Sports, Frank Fenimore, and we are going to get their stories today as to why they started this, the brand, everything. Hey, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah. Totally my pleasure. Yeah, thanks for starting the podcast. I think what a lot of people don't know about you guys, they see a lot of product stuff on social media. They see a lot of gym stuff. Myself, Carolina, the brand ambassadors. A lot of people don't know what I know behind the scenes, and that's you guys, the guys who started this, and kind of literally the heartbeat of this brand is these guys right next to me, and then the reason why we're here. The reason why I'm employed. But
Speaking of that,
sorry, but this is your last episode. No, but I know things that a lot of people don't. Whether it's Lone Star or other brands that you guys have been involved with, and I think it's necessary that our audience knows who they're buying from, listening to, interacting with, and communicating with. So I guess I'll just leave it open and say, how did you guys get into the industry? I know Frankie's dad was, literally the stories I've heard are tremendous. But,
yeah. Well, yeah. I don't want to date myself too bad in this thing. So, you know what? Tommy, you want to start?
No, go ahead.
All right. I've been in the industry probably a little over 20 years. I hate saying that. But kind of kicked it off with, and I know we only have so much time, so I'll go real quick. My father used to own a couple of GNC stores in Long Island, New York. He ended up selling them, so obviously got us into the industry. He ended up selling them back to GNC, and he started a distribution company. At that time, Pure Protein was just launching Pure Protein Bar, and it was the biggest thing,
The Bounty Company, right? That was one of their brands?
No,
at that time it was not. They hadn't bought it yet.
Okay.
This guy Dave McCabe owned it. Mm-hmm. It was called Worldwide
Sports. Yeah,
and it like blew up. It was I think Metrics was out at that time, but like it was the first really good protein bar. Mm-hmm. So he ended up distributing that, and then eventually this Dave McCabe sold the company to a company that owned Metrics. So anyway, then my father started distributing Metrics, and little by little, he got more and more brands. And he originally started distribution in New York, moved it then he expanded to Connecticut, New England. So I would work with him, in the summers on the trucks and do all the delivery routes. So initially, I'm a college at this point. The company's really growing. I was actually working. I got a job offer at a company called Greenwich Capital Markets, and I went there, worked there for about a month or two, and I said, "Man, this sucks. This is just boring as shit." And these corporate people are cutthroat. Yeah. And everybody says it about every single business. Oh, it's a dirty business. Every business is a damn dirty business. You're gonna have your dirt bags, your good guys. So I went reluctantly for my father's wishes. I went and started working with him. So we grew. We got into distribution. I tapped out. We couldn't grow anymore in the Northeast. We merged with a company called Lone Star Distribution. We ended up opening up. They had 2 or 3 locations at the time, and we ended up opening another 2 or 3 locations over probably an 8-year period. And we were fortunate enough to sell the company in 2016, 15 or 16,
15.
To an equity group out of Chicago. And at the time, we had, Tom had come to us when we were in distribution and said, "Hey guys, I want to start this brand. Like, what do you think? Can we do it?" So we actually, we started VMI at that time. Like, everybody wanted to be a part of it. It was unbelievable. Me and Tom couldn't get, we went.
I think at the time there was like 9 people that wanted to be an owner.
We
of the
go
brand.
into our attorney's office and say, "Hey, could you just register this new company? Oh, I want to be a part of it." And you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!"
It was a. I think we started with actually six. People,
yeah.
which was like several too many. But we had to do to get a project started. It was a side thing because Lone Star. To Frank's point, I want him to finish the story, but at that time, really from when him and his dad merged with Lone Star, that was a big change in the industry. Like they became a national player, and distribution was really the heartbeat of the business at that time. Brands relied on distributors, stores relied on distributors, distribution was the model, and they became like one of the top national players like instantly after that merger. And so that was a really big shift at that time in the business. But go ahead, finish.
Yeah. So in distribution too, like Tom said, it was a pretty big deal. We put this thing together. It's always hard to have, put 4 partners together, get along from different areas of the country. And we just worked really well together. The synergies were great. And, we really scaled fast. And 2 reasons why we scaled really fast. We ran a great company. We had great, we had unbelievable employees, and the distributor that we were competing against, Europa Sports at the time, they had been in the business a long time. Really didn't have any competition, and we started to realize, man, that business was terrible. They basically, they were only in business because no one else was in that business. Mm-hmm. So them being that bad enabled us to scale that fast. Mm-hmm. So I always think to myself, we were really that good, or they were that bad?
Was it did you guys see that there was a need in terms of better quality in terms of service, or was it
quality, relationships, just the customer service, the way you treat people, the way you treat your vendors,
everything.
We really exploited. They were almost like a Walmart type company towards their vendors. Like, you need to do this and all about us. And we said, "Hey, Mr. Vendor, let's go to dinner and hang out and get to know each other." And obviously people like that a lot better than getting yelled at and having their margin squeezed and all that stuff. So anyway, that's the distribution part. When we started VMI, we had all the partners. We probably had it through our distribution company for about 2 years before we sold it. So basically, it was a Lone Star exclusive brand, and it was doing great, And obviously, it was super profitable too because we had no employees.
Yeah, we ran everything lean and mean off of Lone Star, and we had a lot of advantages when we started, right? Like, think about running a company, but not having to worry about
rent, employees,
shipping,
insurance,
all these different things, holding product, warehousing. So we really had a huge advantageous start. The disadvantage really was that we didn't focus on it and we didn't have any people running it, and so there was sort of a double-edged sword there. But yeah, it was an interesting start.
So some of the hurdles in the beginning we ran into. So everything, me and Tom, we were on a plane coming back from Dallas, and we were thinking about all these names we were going to name the products. And we thought we'd have this thing blown up in about 6 months. We said
it's not even.
Yeah, we had names like Super Slim 7 and all this crazy. And Tom was making up names, making up words.
I think I made up words for like 6 months. I just made up words that sounded good on the bottle.
Then we realized that
good to me, clearly not good to the customer.
Then we realized that Google had no idea what we were talking about because there's no SEO on a made up word.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but anyway, that was pretty funny. A couple of hurdles we ran into were pretty funny. Is we used to sell to Groupon, and back then they were doing pretty good. And we went to
this is when Groupon just came out; it was real hot.
Yeah,
we went
to Chicago. To be almost 10 years ago.
The guy's like, "Man, I could sell a ton of Garcinia. Make me 25,000 bottles." We're like, "Done." Right? We're like, "This is great." So we make the 25,000 bottles. I swear, the time we got that stuff was the production was done, so was the Garcinia fed.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we actually sold, I want to say 15,000 of those bottles on Groupon and did pretty good with it. considering that we were at the tail end of the fad. It was through an online retailer that really wasn't supplement specific, so on and so forth. But like at the time, you think it's like, this is a great deal. And then in retrospect, you're like, man, like, why do we even make that? You know? But hindsight's 2020.
Listen, they will bring it back. Who knows?
No, I think it's really cool.
I don't think so.
I think it's very interesting how your dad started all that with his GNC stores and kind of made the transition from running your brick and mortar stores, your GNCs, and then, you know, and I'm gonna take on distribution. I'm gonna start that. I think that's a hell of a leap, and it's quite impressive because you have those relationships in place. So I'm assuming you kind of try. And is that how that works, or?
How he got into distribution was at the time he sold the stores back to GNC. That it was actually, you know, GNC was super strong financially as a company back then, very healthy financially. He knew somebody that knew Dave McCabe, who just started that pure protein bar, and he got connected. They said, hey, we need somebody in New York, in the New York area to distribute this bar. And the model that they had at the time was, we're not going to sell to, you know, all these distributors nationally. We're just going to get a bunch of regional guys and give them exclusivities. And that was the model that they started off with. So,
to try and incentivize those guys locally, you have the exclusive, go sell it.
Yeah.
But, you know, fortunately, if it wasn't for that bar, who knows where I would be today, or realistically, you know, like if that bar didn't take off, I don't know, like maybe I would be at the mortgage, doing mortgage-backed
Hello, this is
securities.
Frank, Greenwich Capital.
Yeah.
Greenwich Capital.
So
we're here to serve your financial needs.
But yeah, that's kind of how it evolved.
That's crazy. So when you were, I mean, fast forward now, it's 2022. The brand is obviously where it's really never been to a point. Along the ride, like when we've had episodes in past, we've seen kind of like riding the wave through the hurdles, the ups and downs. What have been, as owners of a brand, what have been your biggest hurdles?
Oh man, there's a lot.
I mean, you can rattle down the list, but things that you're like, wow, I fucking learned from that.
You know, I think every business is a learning curve. I think everything you do, even just any job you have, you learn as you go. And sometimes you think you know and you don't know. For me personally, it was probably thinking I knew more than I knew. And, you know, second to that was probably taking the hard or long route on a lot of stuff. And I think, you know, there's good shortcuts and there's shortcuts you don't want to take. We really didn't take any of them. And
in fact, I think we took the long route. Just one thing here is when we sold Lone Star, that equity group went and acquired Europa. So they put those two companies together, which made one terrible company. Here's the thing. We, myself and John Hoffman, another partner, we still had some equity in that company. So we were put in a situation where we were going to sell exclusively through this distributor. At that time, they were so bad that everyone started going direct. Nobody wanted to deal with them. And we were kind of stuck through this, you know, just selling through this one person, this one distributor, right? So our fate and everything is, you know,
in their hands.
In their hands. And it's not good hands to be in, right, in business.
Not Allstate, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not Allstate.
That was a nice plug.
I know.
So
I use Allstate for your insurance needs.
So with us trying to stay through distribution, it just wasn't feasible. It wasn't the right setup for us.
Well, that distributor with that arrangement was not.
Yeah,
right.
like they just.
There's certainly a place for distribution.
Yeah, well,
and we use distributors today that we love.
100%. But I mean, I've never seen a company really, and I'm totally fine being transparent about this, fall so fast and go downhill so fast on a monthly basis than Europa Sports.
Yeah.
And finally, we got to the point and said, all right, you know what? I guess our equity they have in this company, it's worth nothing anyway. So let's move on, and we're going to do our own thing. We're going to do our own distribution. We're going to sell to some distributors. We're going to control our own destiny. So when you said kind of the biggest thing, you know, we've gone through, we've learned all that. To me, it's as a company, and I think this goes for any business, you can't have anybody else tell you how to run your business. You know, you want to do the right thing, you got to be ethical and the whole nine, but it's you have to control your own destiny. You can't
100%.
You can't put it in the hands of anyone else.
Yep.
Very well put.
And I think that goes for any company, any business, but specifically when you're in a business where you're trying to rely on people that aren't doing the right thing and a company that's not being run right. It's a bad fit. No, I agree with that. And what's funny when you were talking about Frank's story, right? And like with his dad making that leap from retail to wholesale and distribution. So personally, I always felt like my story kind of mimicked that journey from retail to distribution to brand. And Frank and I have had some of a similar path there. But, I started in retail. And it's funny because I posted about this the other day, but I started in supplement retail as a job. I had multiple jobs in college and I just wanted to get a discount on supplements. And then I got into lifting and bodybuilding. And so then it became like a passion and okay, but it wasn't really enough. It wasn't, work my way up the ladder a little bit. And I'm like, I just need to change. It's not enough. It's not,
You ran out of old people to sell Hydroxycut to, a GNC.
So I left and I went to Vitamin World. I thought I needed a little change. And obviously it ended up just being a parallel move. I was like, man, maybe a more vitamin-oriented company that's more health-based. It's just different. And it was parallel move. And I realized I couldn't reach enough people. I couldn't solve enough problems. I couldn't be helpful enough and always push the right stuff, right? And so I'm like, let me look at distribution. And so at that time, one of the executives at MBTY that owned Vitamin World knew one of the executives at a company called UNFI, which is one of the largest food distributors in the natural space, $6-7 billion company, billion. And so I got an interview, got the job immediately because I was going to be like the youngest hotshot sales guy in the office because everyone was a little older and not real salesy. I thought it was going to be a walk in the park. But I initially was excited because I'm like, man, I can get into distribution, wholesale. I can talk to stores. I can reach more people. I can talk about good product and have a bigger impact. So I was excited about that. And then I realized I had to sit at a desk and make 60 to 100 calls a day to people I've never talked to. And for a guy who likes to talk, I was definitely afraid of the phone when I started. I was like, man, this is going to be rough. And like anything else, you overcome those challenges and you kind of force yourself to work your way through it. And once you meet people and talk to people and start selling and wheeling and dealing. And it was exciting for me, but I came to the same roadblock. I went to their vitamin division. They didn't have sports nutrition. I helped bring sports nutrition in as a category. And I just wasn't feeling fulfilled is maybe the right word, right? Mm-hmm. And I need to change a pace. It's not enough of my passion. It's too corporate. It's too closed. They couldn't move fast enough. And so our friend, Brian Icolina from AP Regimen, who's been in the business as long as we have, introduced me to Frank right after Lone Star and Frank and his dad's company, KCF, had merged. I want to say this is 2008 or 9, maybe 9. And it's a while ago. And so, Frank and I met literally, just had lunch at a bagel shop, I think near Nassau Coliseum.
Tom was wearing a Ken Griffey Jr.
Wow.
shirt.
So I had an original Griffey Mariners jersey.
He showed up in a hot shot Cadillac as well.
It was Jersey Day at UNFI's office. Okay. We had like.
Oh yeah, you told me you were a big Griffey guy.
Yeah, big Griffey, still am. Anyway.
I'm like, who's this Guido? What's going on?
So I'm like, you know what? I'll take this meeting because Ike says he's a good dude. Yeah. Let me go meet. Virtually no background, right? So
no background. I feel like you went in blind.
No, like we did a little bit of like who's who, but
okay.
Okay, Frank runs Lone Star. Okay. So we meet and we're at a sandwich shop, both online, figuring out what we're ordering, trying to make like the awkward introduction, right? Yeah. We're not into eating 5 minutes. Dude's asking me my customer list. No. Well, so who's like your top customers? Like, who do you sell to? I'm like, you think I'm going to tell you that? We just met. So fast forward, after talking to a few more of the guys and Frank and I talking more and more, I felt like it was a good shift for me to like really get back to what my passion was, which is just the sports nutrition side. I love the health and wellness side, but sports nutrition is where my passion is. And so I went to work at Lone Star and it was a lot of fun. I came in at the right time with the right people, the right company. I actually brought a buddy of mine with me a few months later. We had a really good time because it was good people, but we had a really good time because we were all working real hard towards the same goal.
In Connecticut.
Yeah, we used to drive to Connecticut. So that's another thing.
No.
Let me tell you folks at home, you do not want to drive into another state to go to work every day.
Especially in the metropolitan area.
Yeah, so I don't want to hear anybody complain about their drive to
90,
work.
yeah.
We used to drive 87 miles or something like that. I could clock it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a couple hours a day.
What
each
time did
way.
you get into the office?
Oh, around 11.
Yeah.
Between 10 and 11. We get home.
Consistent.
You
We
have
get
to-
home 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
and so
you
my
gotta
buddy
wait.
Mike, who I brought over, Murph,
Yeah.
so we would drive together a lot of times, a carpool, and save on gas and
Yeah.
mileage, obviously, right? Because this was just a terrible life decision
Awful life
to
decision.
work in Connecticut.
Absolutely.
And why they thought it was a good idea to behind me.
Well, finally, we went to.
Oh, hold on, let me finish the Connecticut story.
Yeah.
So we would carpool, and it was such a bad experience that we had been lifelong best friends. We would have drives home, and by Wednesday, Thursday of that
Fucking hate
week,
each other.
we wouldn't even talk.
Oh my.
Like I'm talking 2 hours, sometimes with no radio. So that was really character building for me. But really from a commitment and hard work standpoint, it's just things you have to do. But anyway, it was a lot of fun in the environment and what we were doing and growing and spreading the good word and building relationships, not just selling people, not selling on price, but selling on service. Sometimes it was harder, but it was a lot more fun. And I really found that honed in on my passion in the business. And after a couple of years, we did a bunch of different things. I actually left for a little while to go work at an e-com company that was an Amazon reseller when that was like a new thing. And then I came back. But when I came back, as Frank said, I really had a passion to want to do something. And when I had been at that e-com company, I drew up a logo on this logo designer site. I was just passionate about trying to start something where I could make stuff that I could help formulate and that I could have an impact on and not chintz it, not shortchange it, not
Don't
just
half-ass it.
or just well, this is what's hot. And so it just kind of, I fiddled with some ideas, some names. And there's a longer story there, but fast forward to I'm back at Lone Star and Frank and the other partners at Lone Star and somehow the guy that ran the manufacturing company that was affiliated and somehow the attorney, everyone wanted to be a part of it. I didn't realize we were that exciting.
Yeah.
But you know what? It worked out when we got started, and everyone was real positive about it. But we just had early learning curves. We thought we could lean on Lone Star, and it would be like just
Seamless.
automatically winning
Yeah.
at the casino, and it's not.
Yeah. At first, it was just Lone Star. It wasn't the whole Europa piece.
Right.
It was actually.
It was a very good
well.
deal.
Yeah,
it was a very good deal.
It was doing very well.
We just
for Lone
weren't.
Star.
It was just early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a very good. Yeah. When it was just through Lone Star, we were exclusive through Lone Star, but distribution was the model, and we had a lot of advantages. I think we've had a lot of the hurdles. The distribution and Europa piece was a big struggle, but to get to where we're at, for me, and I said this in one of the last podcasts we did, but it's really about how many people we can impact and help.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people say that, and it's a mixed message, right? But for me, like I want to make good stuff. I want to make cool stuff like everybody else.
Yeah.
And everybody else wants to win and be successful and sell a lot of product and make money. But I could sell tires. I could sell cars. Like I love this business and I love helping people. And so I want to solve problems and help people with their needs and deliver good shit to people that want to improve their fitness journey, their life. And that's why I do it. And so I think we want to be in an industry that's fun, exciting, relationship oriented, that we can have a real impact, that we make the decisions. So we determine our own destiny, but helping people.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
And
Definitely.
I don't want to make crap that doesn't help people. I don't want to focus on mixed messages or just marketing stuff at a high price and hoping people buy it. I want to make stuff that works, that really solves problems. And I think to some degree we do that.
Yeah.
And it's a work in progress, but I'm proud of the journey we've made. I'm super proud of what you've brought to the table to help us kind of roll out that next evolution of marketing and design. And
Totally agree.
it's been, for me, a fun journey. I think for Frank and I collectively, an interesting journey because we've worked together for so long that we spend more time with each other than anybody else.
Yeah.
But when you build a business, if you're going to really try and be in it for the long haul and grow, you've got to have people you can rely on.
Yeah.
And that's a big big deal, and it's worked for us.
So I'm actually very curious about this. So when Tom came to you at that stage of your guys' career, was there any obviously you have questions when you're starting a brand,
Sure.
or what do I do? Where do I go? Is there any hesitation that either of you had, whether it was creating the brand, ideas of the brand, or on your end, were you ever like, yeah, I don't know? Was there any like?
No, honestly, it was probably, if anything,
easy.
we were just busy at the time in distribution.
Too busy, yeah.
We were ready to go. Like, it
was kind of like a slip it in.
We
and
had
go.
a pretty, our call it platform, our distribution channel at the time was, we had, a bunch of sales reps from Lone Star. So essentially it was, pretty easy to plug and play. It was more of like getting the time, and unfortunately, the longer we waited, the more partners that came on.
It was it's a whole nother episode on that. But and listen, people want to be involved with other people that they feel are fun and exciting, and something can work, and everybody, that's cool.
Yeah.
And in looking back, I was younger, more aggressive. I was probably upset at that. I look back now, you know what? Maybe it was all good intention. Maybe they just believed in Frank and I that it would be that successful, that everyone wanted to be a part of it. Maybe not. But I'm not really mad about it anymore. I feel like it was a learning experience.
Yeah,
said
it
that
is,
before,
it is
yeah.
what it is.
We bought those people out over time, and we moved on. And it's, you take a bullet, you move on. You just got to keep
roll with the punches.
Yeah, it's part of the business.
Now, what is it now? 10 years now, almost.
So the company itself was organized in 2012. We sort of agreed. We settled on what we would do, who's in, who's not. But we didn't even launch product until 2013. So for me, it felt like such a long time. Foundation of the business 2012. So this is 10 years. But to me, it was every 6 months, every year felt like 10 years. It just, and sometimes you feel that way when you want instant gratification. You want to be there. It takes time.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah.
And some people hit home runs overnight, but it's rare.
Yeah,
Because
for the
you
most
always,
part, it's going to take time.
you hear about the guy that wins the home run derby. You never hear about the 500 guys that didn't make it in AA.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah.
And that's sad. And that's the reality. And so, I think we've got a long road to go. We're very lucky to be where we're at, and it's been a fun ride, but it's
really just getting started for you guys.
It takes time,
Yeah.
man, and I'm sort of proud that we've made it this far the way we have, because I almost feel like we're indestructible. I feel like we could just deal with it. We could just do it. And I feel like some brands run into more speed bumps than others, but you know what? We're ready. We're prepared.
Yeah.
We've taken the punches, and I hope along the way we've delivered back some value.
Yeah.
And given something back to the consumer and the retailer and the distributor that we work with, distributors. And so we're giving good value, good products to the people we work with. And that's our job. And I feel like we're doing that.
Yeah. And 9-10 years deep, and we're about to move to another building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's this is a good podcast to segue into the new building. We'll be moving in a couple of months, hopefully sooner, to a new facility here in New York that will be bigger in every which way, and we'll have our very own podcast room for you instead of using our conference room.
Very big.
It's an exciting time.
100% exciting time for the brand right now. We got over some hurdles. Any business, it does take time. And again, like Tom said, there's going to be some people who are going to hit a home run. There's going to be some people, we've seen a lot of brands, man, they go to about 50 million and they go down to about 5 million 10 times faster, So, we're growing every month. We have a great, sustainable business, and, sky's the limit. And, things that really excites me is when we were growing Lone Star and you just knew it. You knew you were going to win. You knew everything was going, a lot of things are going your way. I have that same feeling right now about this company, which is really exciting for me personally. So,
for me too. Yeah.
Yeah. And
amazing.
And honestly, it's taken us some time too to get great quality people on the team like yourself.
Thank you very much.
So.
No, it's the time thing, right? Time to get the right people, time to get the right products, time to find the right manufacturing partners, time to find the right facility that we're going to move into. Yeah. I think it takes time to make those decisions collectively. But if you're in business with the discipline to make good decisions and avoid mistakes, and you do the right thing by people, you can win over time. You've just got to stay in the game. And, you know, luckily we have, and I think a lot of people are seeing that now, and it's given us the street cred that I always wanted us to deserve, but I knew we needed to earn. Yeah. And I think we've gotten there, and I can't wait to see where we go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there, folks. Episode 7 of the Vision Cast.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more. Red light, no